In this video, we'll be testing the Nemo Aurora 2-person tent for its ease of setup, spaciousness, rain protection, comfort, and more. Out of the box, this is what I got: the 2 tent poles, a small patch kit, 8 stakes, a pole repair splint, the rainfly, tent body, footprint, and the carry bag, which comes with pre-attached setup instructions if you need it. So just in case you want to sort of like visually see the whole setup time lapse instead, here it is. First, lay the footprint on the ground, then place the tent body on it. After that, grab the long hub pole. This single pole has 4 pole tips, which are to be secured in the corner grommets of both the footprint and the tent body, so 2 grommets for each pole tip for now. Then secure 12 of the pole clips first to the hub pole. There are no pole sleeves in this tent. Next, the short ridge pole is to go on top of the hub pole. There are 2 extra grommets above the tent doors for securing this, plus the 2 final pole clips as well. After that, drape the rainfly over the tent with the vestibule zips over the tent doors, and the rainfly also has grommets on the underside to be attached to the ridge pole as well. To secure the rainfly itself, it also comes with grommets at the 4 corners to go under the hub pole, same as the footprint and the tent body, so 3 grommets altogether. Then stake both vestibules down, stake the rest of the tent down too, including the guy lines, and altogether the entire setup takes almost 8 minutes. Taking down the Nemo is just the opposite of the setup, and it took about 6 minutes and 45 seconds. It compacted down easily. The carry bag was a little bit on the bigger side, so everything fit back in super easily. For more details, I have a separate video with loads of instructions and tips to help you set up your tent more easily. The peak height in the 2-person Nemo Aurora comes in at about 42 inches. And on top of this peak height, I also measured the height at the 4 edges of the tent, so that's the right, left, back, and front, and they all came in at between 37 to 39 inches each. So you pretty much get an extended peak height all around the entire tent, which is kind of insane to think about. If you're wondering how there's so much livable space in this tent, is because of the very special 2-pole structure. The first pole is the hub pole, and there are 2 of these hubs on the pole, hence a hubbed pole. And when you put it together, notice how this single pole creates almost vertical walls here on the left and on the right. The second pole is the ridge pole at the top of the tent. This pulls the tent body up on the front and the back, creating another 2 vertical walls. Here is the extended peak height created by the hub pole, and on this side of the tent, this is the extended peak height created by the ridge pole. That's how you get so much livable space in this tent. Now, my height is only about 5'3", so without any pad or mattress in the tent, the peak height was insane for me. Even at the 4 corners, I still had so much leftover space. Next, here's what the peak height looks like with a 4-inch sleeping pad in the tent, and here's even a 6-inch queen bed. The amount of space left above is still massive. For the base area, I first measured the length, and that came in at about 85.5 inches. Then I measured width, and that came in at about 49.5 inches. Overall, that's a total base area of about 29.5 square feet. As for pad sizing, here's my Xbed Megamet Duo 10, which is the size of 2 regular pads put together. It fit quite nicely, with a little bit of leftover space for storing gear on the floor. The extra width left there after the pad goes in, it's only like 5-ish inches, so if you want to fit like wider 25-inch pads, it'll be a very snug fit all the way to the edges of the tent. As for anything wider, it won't fit at all, like if you try to use a queen bed in this tent. The length of the tent is more than enough, but the width was way too short for something this big. If you notice, it quite obviously bulges out the sides of the tent, putting stress on the fabric, so not a good fit for sure. The Nemo Aurora 2 comes with 2 vestibules, 1 at each length of the tent. I measured the width of each vestibule, and that came in at about 33 inches. So on top of the inner base area from before, this gives us another almost 10 square feet for each vestibule, or almost 20 square feet for both vestibules. Each vestibule comes with only 1 stake down, so you can stake down only the left panel of the vestibule and leave the right open. It would be great if the other panel also had a stake down, but just a minor con here. If you want to adjust the tension of the vestibule after staking it down, it's easy to do so by just using this buckle here. To loosen, just push back on the buckle. And to tighten, pull on the front strap until it's taut enough. If you don't need the vestibule at all, you can unstake it completely and tie the whole thing up, because there are these two toggles here, one for tying up each panel. Each vestibule has just one zipper. I couldn't find any branding on them, so they're no-name zippers, but that's okay because the zipping experience was still decent with no snags at all for me. Under each vestibule, you'll find one door each, so 2 doors altogether. To keep the doors open, there's a pocket beside each door to hold the door fabric out of the way. These doors are super huge, honestly, measuring about 54 by 27 inches, which is at least 20% bigger than most other tents this size. And when both doors are open, the cross ventilation in this tent is really great. Each door has one zipper. These are the same non-branded zippers we saw back in the vestibule test, and because the doors are rather big, it was sometimes a little bit difficult getting the zipper past this bend here, so do slow down and don't stress the zipper track like I did because I was filming with one hand. But otherwise, no real snagging issues at all. Most of the time, it was a very nice one-handed experience. For storage, there are these 2 door pockets, one for each door, and even if the door fabric is in there, you can still stuff a few small things in there, and each of these pockets measures about 8 by 6 inches. On top of these door pockets, there's another 2 pockets near the top of the tent. These are much bigger, measuring about 20 by 7 inches. So altogether, we've got 4 pockets in this tent. The newer version of this tent comes with an overhead nightlight pocket where you put a headlamp in, and the pocket diffuses the light for you. Kind of cool, I guess, but mine doesn't have it there. Instead, I've got 2 loops at the top of the tent right here. I like that the loops were decently big and I could hang whatever I wanted there. Now, before we get into rain tests, we gotta check out the waterproof features, starting with the tub floor, which runs all around the entire tent. I measured the height of this tub floor at the length, and that came in at about 9 inches. As for the height at the width, that came in at about 11 inches, so quite a bit higher. Next, what about the seam taping? There are a couple of seams on the flooring, this seam running down the entire floor. I checked it and found that it was taped. The other seams are those in the corners, and those were taped perfectly too. Everything else above the tub floor isn't taped. As for the rainfly, every single seam was taped perfectly, and you can see the outline of the seam taping here. As for rainfly protection, this is a full coverage rainfly, which extends almost all the way down to the ground. I really love that apart from the vestibules, at the front and back of the tent, the widths of the tent have an extra guy out point each where you can pull the rainfly away from the tent body. This makes for better ventilation and rain protection. But notice the widths can't be pulled away as much as the vestibule, so that's why the tub floor has to be very slightly higher. For even more ventilation in this tent, this Nemo also has 2 vents, one on each width, so 2 altogether. From the inside, it looks like it's covered by a layer of mesh, and it seems like you can't access it from the inside. But here's the tip. If you stick your arm through the door, you can actually reach it from the inside, and I could close it and open it this way, even though my arm really isn't that long. Will this survive in the heavy rain? Let's find out. First, I put the Nemo through about 1 hour of moderate rain, and it held up perfectly fine with no leaks at all. So next, I put it through a heavy rain test. After the heavy rain stopped, I checked in on the tent, and here are the results. After 1 hour of heavy rain, there was not a single drop of water inside the tent at all. I checked all the seams in the corners because these tend to be the first to leak in the heavy rain, and well, none of them leaked at all, and neither did any of the other seams. I also checked the tub floor from the inside to see if it let any water in, and nope, it was completely dry. Still on this same point, I also lifted the rainfly to check on the tub floor from the outside. It's actually quite high. The water didn't go beyond the tub floor, so the mesh on the inside was still perfectly dry. Then I checked the underside of the rainfly to see if any water seeped through, and it was completely dry. And finally, I checked the vents to see if any water got in, and nope, it was the perfect angle to keep you dry and ventilated from the inside. Overall, it held up really well in the heavy rain. Now, if you remove the rainfly on hot days, you'd find a decent amount of mesh on the tent body. Not the most, but decent. The widths of the tent have a really good amount of mesh, but the lengths, not so much. The newer version of this tent comes with a little bit more mesh though, so that's good. I do wish that they'd make the mesh a little bit more like transparent and less colored, because it kind of takes away from the nice views that you get outside. As for materials, the flooring is made of 2000mm polyurethane coated polyester. It's 75 denier. It honestly feels quite thick and rugged, and there's even a footprint underneath. It feels to be the exact same material as the flooring too. The rainfly, I think it's 6080 polyester because it feels slightly less thick than the flooring, and the PU coating is 2000mm as well. The canopy is just pure 6080 polyester, no coating. The poles are made of lightweight aluminum. The mesh is no-seam mesh with holes that are about this big. Not including the two widths of the tent, there are 6 other guy-out points, 3 on each width, and you get these short cord guy lines. And the stakes are these very lightweight shepherd hook stakes. For portability, the 2-person Nemo Aurora has a pack size of 21.5 by 9.5 by 7.5 inches. If you're packing the poles separate from the rest of the tent body, the pack length is almost 21 inches. There's a handle at the bottom of the carry bag, though they've now changed the previous carry bag, the one that I have, to this like roll top dry bag instead. The whole pack tent weighs about 5.4 pounds, and here's the breakdown of all the parts of the tent if you need it. For Pro, this Nemo Aurora is without a doubt the most spacious 2-person tent I've ever camped in my life. Most other like good quality 2-person tents will typically have like this ridge pole at the top of the tent, which does give the tent an extended height from back to front. That's a total of only 2 vertical walls. However, for the other wall, the tent slopes downwards from the peak height completely. This Nemo, on the other hand, has 4 vertical walls because of its awesome pole structure. I've never seen this in another 2-person tent before, and I explained all of that back in test number 3. And it also has a very generous peak height of 42 inches. Ventilation in this tent is great as well, and I really love that the rainfly can be guyed out at all sides. On top of that, the mesh on the widths is also very generous, and the gap in the rainfly is quite big here, bigger than most other tents, and this gave me loads of all-around ventilation. And the doors in this tent are big too, so cross ventilation beats other tents as well. And it's not just ventilation that's great, this Nemo is also great in the rain. Usually most tents will be missing at least one of these waterproof features, but this tent had them all, and it didn't leak even after 1 hour of super heavy rain. The footprint also comes provided with the tent, which you don't typically get with a lot of tents out there. I also really liked that if you want to go extra light, you can do the footprint only setup, which will weigh less than 4 pounds because the tent body itself weighs 1.6 pounds. So that's quite a bit of versatility. And you also get a lifetime warranty from Nemo. I loaned this tent from a friend to make this review. He's had this a few years now, and it's held up great since. But here's where we get into the cons. This tent is still kind of in the budget range, I would think, but on the steeper side. Also, with 4 very tall vertical walls, this tent won't take wind as well as other more like dome-shaped tents that I showed you. Although I do like that they give you 2 extra guy-out points to deal with this, so 6 guy lines on this tent instead of the usual 4 guy lines on most 2-person tents out there. And a smaller con is that the door and vestibule have only 1 zipper each. These are one-way zippers, so if you want to crack the top of the door open for some ventilation, you can do that. Most tents usually come with 2 zippers each. They have these like two-way zippers, so I thought this was a little bit strange. But otherwise, I would say that the pros far outweigh the cons, and if you're looking for a very spacious tent and you're not going to be camping in like crazy winds, this tent is perfect. I know this because I tested the Nemo against other similar tents. Check out this video on the screen to see how it went. I'll put it up when it's ready. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in that one.